Hello YouTube, this is Evan from Grips.com coming at you with yet another live session from Betfair. My latest request has been for some full ring action, namely 10.25 no limit and 25.50 no limit. That's the cents variety, not the dollar variety, obviously. So I did the best I could. Unfortunately, Betfair doesn't have 10 cent, 25 cent, but I figured 15 cent, 30 cent would be similar, pretty much the same. So I'm doing 12 tables, and I will apologize right away if this doesn't work on a lot of people's monitors. I have some very big monitors and thus some very big resolution, and I'm able to handle 12 and even more tables. But if this doesn't turn out well on your computer, even in the HD version, then I'll limit the number of tables next time. Stick with 4, 6, or 9. Just know that in general, full ring is a bit of a slower game than the short-handed action, so I figured I would make up for the fact that we will be playing less hands by having more hands to choose from. And yeah, the jack-high flush, just gonna call. He probably would have called the raise with that hand. At a higher limit game, if I were to raise that river, the opponent would definitely fold a straight because I'm representing a flush and not all that likely to be bluffing. But I just felt that more often than not, if he's willing to call a raise or re-raise himself there, the jack-high flush is not going to be good. So I just took my value and called. So I'm going to be, with the 12 tables, the top row, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The middle row will be tables 5, 6, 7, 8. And the bottom rows will be 9, 10, 11, and 12. So if any important hands come up, I will direct you to which table to pay attention to so that you can follow the action, as I do understand there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So talking a little bit about full ring, your general strategy is going to be to play pretty solid and to try not to be giving away a lot of money, obviously, right? Why wouldn't that be the strategy? There are a lot of, whatever, just call them bad players, playing these games that are going to be giving away their money. And it's up to you to just kind of post up, sit around, and wait to be the guy that scoops that cash from them. So we're going to be definitely playing our jackpot potential hands, like our pocket pairs, our suited aces, some suited connectors given the right circumstances. And we're really going to be trying to play a lot of flop poker, where we kind of see how our hand connects with the flop and take it from there. There's not so much pre-flop warring going on. Table 4, c-betting's fine, but there are 4 players, and that means there's a decent likelihood that someone hit the board. And pocket kings, well, I'm all in, table 12. What can you do when you get cooler? You just got to deal with it and move on to the next hand. This answer. On table 4, bet. On table 1, I called 1 bet because I think he's going to be continuation betting this board with his entire range. But once he fires again, I'm going to fold. I personally think that folding on the flop isn't terrible because against a tight player, they're going to have you beat most of the time. And they might two-barrel the times they don't, so it's in a tough spot. Ace-king on table 5. I'm just going to check and evaluate. Typically when they leave the river after check call in, they do have to draw, so I'm not going to pay this guy off with a 1 pair hand. Ace-king, I'm just going to try to take showdown on table 5. And with king-queen on table 7, I'm going to continuation bet. I have 2 overcards, so I have outs if called, and also it's not that likely that he connected with this board, but a hand that would call a 3-bet, so c-bet should work a decent amount of the time. You get raised, fold and move on. So in spots like on table 12, where I ran kings into aces, I mean, that's just a standard spot. And if the roles had been reversed, where Poker Mass had the kings and I had the aces, I think I would have won the exact same amount off him that he won from me. And in those situations when they happen, you know, you don't really sweat it. You just kind of block it out of your mind and move on. It's the situations where, you know, your opponent may have lost more than you in fact lost, or they would have won more than you won in a hand, that you want to take a look back at those hands and review them. And think about how you could have played them different. Because it's not just about getting lucky and getting coolers, flopping sets, you know, turning straights, whatever. It's about what you do with the hands once you make them, and determining the best course of action to extract the maximum value from your opponent, if there is value to be had. And you know, sometimes that means playing a small pot with a big hand on the flop because it's very unlikely your opponent has any piece, and for them to be able to pay you off, you have to get some bluff money out of it. So, you know, it's about being dynamic and being able to adjust to situations and being creative and all that good stuff. Cinchi, I'm gonna take a shot at again. He's opening when there's a poster, so he's gonna have a wider range than usual. And Broadway hands are good hands for 3-betting as a semi-bluff because they can flop top pair, which is a strong hand in a 3-bet pot. That being said, I'm not going to necessarily just felt the hand if I make top pair, but it is a good starting point. So 9-8 suited on table 5, I'm out of position, and the razor doesn't even have 100 big blinds, so I'm going to fold there. That's a trap spot that a lot of people fall into. They get dealt a good-looking hand and think, well, it's a good-looking hand, I got to play it. Especially when you're playing very few tables, you're like, well, when's the next time a good hand's going to come around? But just because, I mean, that's not enough reason to warrant playing a hand. You have to have a hand that's going to show you some positive expectation. That if you simulated that situation over and over and over again, you would be making money by playing that hand rather than losing money playing that hand. And of course, as you guys should already know, being in position is an extremely big benefit for that. So I'm going to try to get a heads-up display going. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but if it does, that would be helpful because when you're playing in these games, it's very important to be able to identify where your money is going to be coming from for the most part, and that is typically going to be from the weak players. It's going to be guys who have, you know, say a VPIP of over 40, I guess in full ring even over 30 is going to be high enough. Okay, so here's a spot where I flopped everything, and on table 4. My opponent doesn't have that much stack behind, so I'm actually going to check back so that I can get value from his entire range. If I were to continuation bet the flop, then I only get value from the hands that hit. By checking back, I give myself an opportunity to get some money out of missed hands, ace highs, stuff like that. Maybe not that much, but more than nothing, which is always good. He didn't bet big enough for me to just call, though. I need to juice the pot a bit, not give a free card to a gut shot or whatever. And, well, I didn't win that much, but hey, I got an extra 30 cents out of it. It's an extra big blind to load up. Pocket 6 is down here. The opener, again, doesn't have a full stack, so I'm just going to fold. And here on table 3, a pre-flop razor check twice. I'm going to hope that means he doesn't have anything and take a shot at the pot. King Queen on table 9. Well, I was thinking I might play it for a raise and a call, but once the pot's with 3-bet, King Queen is not a very good hand. And there's something else that you wanna think about. How good is my hand based on the action that's ahead of me? Pocket 2s on table 8 here are fantastic. There's been a raise and a call. We're going to get a multi-way pot. which is exactly what you want when you have a high potential jackpot type hand like a pocket pair. Whereas if it had been raised and re-raised ahead, well, now pocket twos, it might as well be a 7 deuce. And a more relevant situation, I would say, that comes up where people are curious is a hand like ace queen, where if it's been, if it's unopened to you, in general, ace queen is a pretty strong hand. But as soon as there is, a raise from a tight player, or a raise and a re-raise ahead, ace queen is just absolute garbage, because compared to the range of hands you're going to be playing against, ace queen's just not in good shape. You're going to be dominated a bunch. You might be facing a situation where your opponent has a bigger pair than you, and even if you hit top pair, you're going to get into a lot of trouble. So you're just coolering yourself. And those are the kind of mistakes that, they may seem small at first, and it seems pretty innocent to just make a pre-flop call with an ace queen. But that error is going to compound itself later in the game. Like this ace jack suited here on table 11. I'm out of position, which isn't the worst part of it. It's more the fact that I'm facing an under-the-gun raiser who probably doesn't have a lot of hands that I'm really crushing. Whereas if that raise had come from middle position, or if it came from late position, I'm definitely getting involved in that pot and putting some action out there. So you have to be willing to, adapt to the situation as it changes, and not just have like a strict set of rules that you follow, being like, well, I got dealt this hand, so this is how I'm going to play it every time. You need to factor in your position, you need to factor in your opponents, you need to factor in a lot of things. Queen 10 suited, I'd like to call. I'm getting a good price, but the guy doesn't have a lot of money behind, so the speculative nature of my hand is kind of negated by the fact that there's not a lot of money behind. If, however, he was on like 100 big blinds, I call. If he was on 200 big blinds, I definitely call, because as you get deeper and deeper, the benefits to being in position and having hands that can flop equity, be it, gut shots, flush draws, straight draws, you name it, the better. And that's where the real value of suited hands comes in, is that you can flop things that allow you to continue, even flopping as little as one more card of your suit. Well, if that comes with a gut shot, there are a lot of turns that can come off that can improve your hand and allow you to proceed deeper into the game, being involved when the pots are bigger and there's more money to be won. Also, opponents will probably get more and more uncomfortable out of position as the pot gets bigger and bigger, which gives you a big edge if you're deep stacked in position and play well and make good decisions in big pots. Most people's biggest mistakes come in big pots. 3-bet pots, for example, 4-bet pots. So if you can learn how to play these pots, just like not even awesome or expert, just like well, not really bad, you will do well. You'll make a lot of money from your opponents who don't play them well. On table 5, I'm going to fold ace 2 suited. It's a nice speculative hand, but I'd like to have more top pair potential when I'm raising from up front, because I have a lot of hands to get through here. There are 7 players behind me, and when you're looking at 7 sets of hands, there's a good chance someone got dealt something. Whereas if I was in middle position, again, much lower likelihood that someone has been dealt a hand, so more likelihood that I might just steal the blinds, or end up playing against just one of the 2 players in the blinds, which is usually a pretty desirable outcome. Okay, table 9 with pocket 4s. This is a good start to a situation. And table 1, who has 100 big blinds deep, I have position, I have a good suited connector, I'm going to call. Now, if I flop top pair with the queen jack, I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'm more interested in flopping straight draws and flush draws. But if I do flop some sort of piece, I'll probably at least see the turn to get more information about my opponent. Now here, I assume at these limits, people see that a lot, and this is where having a HUD would be helpful with their frequencies. So he's going to be betting his whole range on the flop. He's going to be checking a lot of turns, which meant if Rudy hadn't just ripped it in behind us, there's a good chance we could have seen the river. But now, given that he did that, even though he could have a flush draw or a straight draw, those hands have good equity against my hand here on table 1. So it's one of those situations where I'm either a small favorite, in the case he has a draw, a weak draw that is. I'm flipping if he has a strong draw. And on table 5 I didn't realize how short this player was. And if he has a made hand, like a setup drive dead, and if he has a better top pair than me, or a 2-pair type hand, I have 3 to 5 outs, which isn't a lot of equity. So best case, I'm 50-50, and in a lot of cases, I have little to any equity. So against the overall range, continuing with Queen Jack there is not a profitable play. And those are the sort of evaluations you need to make. A lot of players like to go with their gut and be like, well, I think for that sizing, you know, he just jams like that. He always has a draw, so I have him in bad shape. And if you have like a stone cold read that's going to be 100% accurate, okay, then you can justify maybe the call there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if on the other hand, you're possibly going to be correct, but there's also a possibility you're wrong. You have to be willing to evaluate all the options and do what mathematically makes the most sense. Because, I mean, based on the information we get, that's really all we can do. It's very hard to be absolutely certain if someone's holdings in this game, unless you have a very good read on them and you've been playing with them for a long time. Which is where the value of putting in a lot of volume and studying your opponents, the tendencies they have, is going to have a lot of value.
Okay, well, I'll call you later tonight after I talk to Lindsay about it.
The more you play with these opponents, and the more you get to understand the tendencies, the more
Fuck off. All right.
you can start to take advantage of the mistakes that they make as you become more familiar with them. But the only way to do that is to get experience playing against the same opponents over and over. And that's why, you know, a lot of people find it easier to play on one side rather than switching to a new side. Here with ace 5 suited, I don't really think it's a good enough hand to flat call, but I don't really want to fold it. So in those cases, it's a good time to 3-bet. And actually, same with the gut shot here. If he doesn't have an ace, I'm going to put him in a tough spot here, because on table 1, even if he decides to call the flop bet, he doesn't know if I'm going to keep betting on the turn. And so I can put a lot of pressure on him being in position. And, yeah, I'm not going to hit my gut shot that often. Even when I do, I'm not going to get paid. So that's a hand I would rather use as a semi-bluff. And it's good to be, you know, raising some weak hands along with some really strong hands, so that your opponent's going to have, like what we were just talking about, a stone cold read on you. By mixing up your play, you make it much more difficult for your opponents to make the correct decisions against you. And that's when you're playing some winning poker. King Queen offsuit here on table 10. Not going to play facing early position raise. It's a trouble spot. And pocket aces, I'm all in on table 8. The guy's already called 1750. He'll probably call 35 more. And well, I would call 35 more if I had aces too. So as long as no 8 or 10 comes off, we'll chop up Miss Kiss's money, which isn't the best result in the world, but it's not the worst result. Table 11, pocket sixes. I'm going to raise up front. And your decisions as to whether or not to raise hands like 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, even 8s, and even in some cases 9s, will depend on how well the table is played. The weaker the table is, the more fish there are, or just the less aggressive the opponents play. The wider you can go with your opening ranges. You could go any pair up front, all suited broadways, and on a weak table you can open a bunch of suited connectors too. If, however, you're playing on a very difficult table where there are a lot of players who are going to be calling you raises in position, putting some pressure on you, putting you in difficult decisions, then you want to tighten up your opening range and maybe only play as tight as maybe jacks. Jacks are better and ace king up front, and some big suited hands, so that you're finding yourself in uncomfortable positions less frequently. And likewise, even when your opponents do play at you in position, well, you probably have a much better hand than them, so it's going to be easier to play properly. Table 3, generally if someone lives in blind versus blind, I like to raise it up with anything that flops well, anything that's trash, and anything that's premium. There are a few hands that I don't auto-raise, which would be like maybe an ace-rag type hand, because that hand plays well for getting the showdown. It doesn't flop that well. And, yeah. So the full ring grind compared to the 6-max grind is a much more relaxed, kind of chill, peaceful grind, per se. It's a lot easier to load up a bunch of full ring tables and just kind of sit around, wait for cards. Like if you're the type of person who really likes to surf Facebook or watch movies while you play, which I don't recommend, but I mean I don't have a problem with if that's what you like to do. Full rings are much easier to do simultaneously while doing other things because the decisions are much more clear-cut generally, the ranges are much more well-defined, and yeah, just decisions are generally a lot easier and less brain power the decisions require, obviously, the more other things you can be distracted your mind with when you play. Also, full ring for that reason, since it's easy to kind of just grind away and put in the volume, is really great for people who like to grind it out with the rate back. It's a great way to get a lot of rate back. And if you're, if it's maybe your first bankroll or the first time that you're really taking your bankroll extremely seriously, then full ring's a good option because the variance is lower. Even when you tilt, it's harder to really just like give all your money away because the hand requirements are so much stricter and whatnot. So for that, full ring's quite good. It's really easy to put in the volume, grind out sign-up bonuses or rate back or whatever other promos. And it's a great way to just kind of get comfortable with the game without putting yourself to too many decisions. I know I said you have to be flexible and willing to try different creative options, but if you follow a strict system based on everything I've already taught in my previous videos and will continue to teach, you're going to at least break even and make money off your rate back. You won't be a losing player. Here, I'm going to 3-bet the ace-queen to isolate this player on table 11. I just think based on his name, he might be a fish. And I don't really want to call and play a multi-way pot with ace-queen offsuit, so I'd rather isolate the player and take it from there. Just fire one big, actually, I'm going to fire 2 small bullets here. So the first is just to get them off random unpaired cards if that's what he has, even though I have them beat, but they would still have some equity. And had he called, the second bullet would have been to get him off the medium pairs that he might have called with, like jacks, nines, eights. But he showed me, hit me with the check raise, so which we'll do. And making plays like that, 3-betting with ace queen, just aren't really mandatory for making money. In the 4-ring setting, on table 2, I'm going to fold ace jack offsuit. It's a really terrible hand from up front. For those of you who have been playing it from that position, stop playing it from that position. Yeah, just playing a solid taggy or nitty game is enough to get the money. It's if you want to be really making all the money, exploiting all of your opponent's bad tendencies. That's when you have to start mixing it with 3-bets, maybe even 4-bets and stuff. But just because you've seen it in a video, wherever, doesn't mean you have to do it. And a lot of that stuff that happens, the 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet wars that happen in videos are generally more applicable to high stakes because the dynamics are there. And when applied at micro stakes and low stakes where no one ever folds, the merits of the plays don't really exist anymore. And therefore, you're actually just putting yourself in a bad spot by trying. Speaking of trying things, no, I'm not going to raise there on table 4. See, in a higher stakes game, I might raise the 8-9 offsuit, or the 8-9 suited, because I'm a backdoor flush on backdoor straight draw. The pre-flop raiser is checked, so the pre-flop caller is going to be betting with his whole range. And then when I raise there in the 4 people, I'm representing a very strong hand, and it's tougher to continue if you guys just like a hand like top pair. Obviously, sets aren't going anywhere. But so in that situation, the play would have a lot of merit. But at a limit like this, where if the guy just has ace deuce and he flop top pair, he's not going to fold it for any amount of action. There's no sense in trying to get in there with like fancy bluffs and stuff because they are very effective. Yeah. So it's really about figuring out what style suits you best, whether it's a loose aggressive or tight aggressive or nitty, which really will just come down to your opening ranges and adjusting them. And then starting off by playing solid after the flop. And then down the road adding some creativity into your game. For those of you who think that you really have to be fancy to be able to win money in this game, I'm telling you right now, you don't. Because unless you're playing in an all-star lineup where no one is making any basic mistakes, then there's no need for fancy play to get the job done. You can just play your solid game, grind it out, and capitalize on the other players' mistakes that they will be making. So I think we'll just play it out for another 5-10 minutes. As expected, the action is not so fast. But I don't mind that because when I don't get distracted by a bunch of decisions, it kind of just allows me to freely speak my mind and get across a lot of good concepts and lessons that I've learned over my years of playing. And I hope you guys appreciate that. You know, if you really just want to see hand examples of this is what to do in this situation, shorthanded's probably the way to go, or I could do some hand history reviews. That's an option, of course. If that's what you want to see. Let me see if I'm the pre-flop raiser or if he's the pre-flop raiser. He is. Whatever. I'm still calling one bet. So yeah, that's a possibility for future videos. If you guys would like to see that, we can look at that. They're a bit more difficult for me to make in terms of finding the material, but that doesn't mean they're impossible. So now that you've checked, I'm going to use my position and bet. And we take it. And that's where, like, you know, if I had a flush draw or you know, a pair of eights with a backdoor flush draw somehow, then being in position is magical, because I can just call his bet, and then when he lets me know what he really has on the turn, by checking, I can take it away. My hand doesn't matter. Whereas if he has it, he'll keep betting and take me off. But since we're always getting great odds on our calls and on our bets, it's not like we have to be accurate 100% of the time to get the job done. So we'll try to see some flops with these good-looking hands. And for anyone who wondered, I made my biggest bankroll off of playing full ring. So even though it's a slow game, it doesn't mean there's not money to be made. Oh, fantastic. The HUD has decided to load at the end of the video. Well, at least we know it will work for next time. But for now, I'm not going to have it. Yeah, so even though it's a slower paced game, there's definitely money to be made in it, and it's a much less variance type of game. It's a lot easier to achieve a Nanonoko type of graph playing full ring than it is playing shorthanded, in my opinion. Well, it's not to say it's easy, it's just easier. Yeah, like anything else, just about putting in the volume, staying disciplined. Just being willing to put in quality hours and not forcing it. And even though it's not easy to win a lot of money really fast with this game, it's extremely hard to lose a lot really fast if you just follow basic hand charts. So that should be comforting for those of you out there who constantly deposit and then bust the bankroll right away. Maybe you're just playing in a really high variance game and you should give full ring a shot instead. Oh, pocket tens on table 8. They were a good hand until it went raise, re-raise. Going in the muck. I don't want to hood flat, play a pot out of position with a hand that doesn't even flop a lot of equity. It's kind of a hit or miss type hand. And I didn't really want to get all in with pocket tens there. So, given that that eliminates the re-raise option, my only remaining option left was to fold. Here with the Jack 10 suited on table 11, I didn't raise the flop because if he has an overpair, I don't think he's folding it to a raise. So I could get the money in flipping, or I could just play my position and get some more information. Like in the other spots, once he checks the turn, I think there's a good chance I'm going to be able to win this pot with a bet. Get him off all of the hands that I would have got him off on the flop with a raise with anyway. So I just kind of gave myself a cheaper bluff there. And a chance to see if I made my hand too, which is always cool. Okay, so what's a 3-bet? Oh, it's going to be c-betting this board on table 2. And on table 3, if he wants to bluff it off, I'm not going to let him off the hook. So I'm never going to raise here. I'm just going to call, and call. It's 9-10 suited on table 1. It has decent potential in that I could get a multi-way pot, but I'm not guaranteed to have either of these guys call and not re-raise, so given the uncertainty, I'm just going to fold. And I'll call with the kings. Obviously, they're good. King Jack suited. I think I made a mistake here. So I'm not the pre-flop raiser, but I went out. And I'm actually very intimidated by my raise. And again, like the situation earlier, where I raised the flop with a gut shot. Even if I have the best hand now, I don't know what cards are bad for me on the turn, and I don't know if he's going to keep barreling at me. So he can put me in a very uncomfortable spot, even by just putting a small raise on the flop. and that's why it's such a powerful play. And with that, I think I'm going to call it a video. It's nice to get a little card rush at the end. Maybe I'll let you guys see this last flop if you can't see it. It's a pretty exciting hand. So as always, please leave me your comments on the video. I really appreciate that. Please send any video requests to evan@grips.com so we can continue coming up with awesome content together and developing your guys' games and my game as well. Come on, Royal Flush Draw. That's alright. Good flop for my hand. I am just going to call this guy though, because if I raise, I might even scare him off a hand like a King Jack King 10, which by calling he might continue to bet with. And I think if I get it in, I am flipping a bunch, but I rarely have dead if I get it in with the raise. Whereas if I let him keep betting, he might put me on the flush draw and try to take me off of it. And not bad. Even if you check raises, unless he has a straight, my equity is pretty good. So I'm getting a fine price against a 2-pair 10 hand. What you gonna do, bro? He wants to battle. The check call really looks like 1 pair to me. So I'm going to go for the value bet. And I'm going to check back my now nut bluff catcher on table 5 and call it river bet. Even though the 4 came on the river, I don't see what hand he would have been betting the flop with and then check calling the turn that had a 5 in it. So that card didn't worry me too much. I just think 2 pair would have kept betting the turn, so his range was kind of reduced to hands that I had beat for the most part. And fuck. Did he see bet the flop or did he check call? Huh. Ambitious. So that ace didn't come on the turn when I was going to keep betting that ace 10 of clubs. I definitely would have won the pot. So yeah, when his range gets defined like that, I can go for a thin value bet. Whereas if I didn't have a good feel for exactly where he was at, then trying to value bet 1 pair on such a scary board might not be the greatest idea. And yeah, that's what you gotta do at the poker table. Narrow down your opponent's range so that you can make the most profitable decisions consistently and confidently. Check call the queens. When you have the checks back, you might have it on check fold, so we'll just bet. Probably win on the turn. Pocket tens. I think I will check call the turn and then evaluate on the river. The queen's not the best card for me. But the most important thing is I don't really want to bet and get raised. And now I'm just going to check and call in case he has a missed flush draw. Straight draw caught there. But I may have missed a bet if he had a 9. He could call. So betting there is definitely fine. And checking could have value too. So again, that's one of those spots where it's not clear at first glance which option is the best. But if you spend some time looking at the hand and talking with friends and just analyzing it, you can usually figure out which decision is mathematically superior between the 3. And open folding was obviously not it. Alright, this has been Evan for Grips.com. Now it's your turn. Go out there and get stacking.